Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow. I'm actually on the outskirts of Moscow today, and I thought we'd go check out a hardware store which has a bit of an interesting past. It's right behind me. We're going to go check it out. The place I'm going to take you for a walk around is called Maxidom, and I think it loosely translates to big house. And according to their website, it says Maxidom is the first Russian hypermarket chain for home and cottage improvement, design, repair, and construction. So this is the equivalent of Bunnings in Australia, B&Q in England, Home Depot in America. So I'm hoping once I go inside, it's quite similar. Now, the interesting past that I talk about, so there is currently 30 of these hypermarkets in Russia, and they're not only in Moscow, they're all over the entire country. It recently had a name change, and if we can see the tent here on the side, and it says on there Castorama, and this is a European brand that existed in Russia. And according to their website, it says they left Russia around about 4 years ago, so well before all the different things going on now. However, this place only reopened or was renamed around about 2 weeks ago. And I was wanting to come here since I heard about this changeover, because this is a major competitor to Leroy Merlin, which I've done videos in before, and Obi. So it'll be quite interesting just to take a look and see what it has. And of course, this channel you're watching was built around supermarket and shopping center videos. There is a petrol station right here. This is the very busy Minsk highway, which is one of the highways that lead away from the center of Moscow. If we were to drive down this highway around about 600 kilometers, we'd be at the border with Belarus. And this is about half an hour from where I live as well. So it's quite close to my place, although it's a little bit awkward to get here because of the direction of traffic. Well, let's go check this place out. Based on the car park, I don't think there'll be a lot of people here. There is underground parking under the entire building as well. Today is Tuesday morning, and my wife was going off to work on the train, and I caught the same train and got off quite close to here to come to this place. So this is currently Tuesday at 9:30 in the morning. It is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. So it does have a lot of trading hours, and people come shopping whenever they like in Russia. Very typically on the weekends though. So this is a working day for Russia. We're now past all of the May holidays, so people are back to work. So I don't expect to see too many people here. So if you're commenting on the video, there's no shoppers. It's because in the real world, everybody goes to work on a Tuesday. Most of the normal warnings on the door, they don't have the daily opening hours because it's open 7 days a week. And interestingly, in Russia, they say no ice creams. Now, I'm fairly sure in the rest of the world, they normally have a burger there. So can someone correct me or let me know in the comments if they have the no ice cream rule in other countries, or is it just here in Russia? They do actually have a very large underground car park. And they do this in quite a lot of the hypermarkets in Russia to create more parking. And it's very simple. Just build the actual main building up on stilts, and you gain a whole lot of space very quickly. But it's very quiet today. This is very similar to how they do the IKEAs, where you've got the underground parking and then you come in through the entrance. So let's head on inside. The previous company here, Castorama, was actually a French company, and I'm fairly sure that they came into the Russian market to compete with Leroy Merlin, which is also French, along with having Auchan here and other companies. And They were here literally in this location till a couple of weeks ago, with the signs very clearly on the side of the building, and they're now not here. Now the actual owners, or the majority owners of Castorama now, is a British company called Kingfisher. So if you're from England, you may know this name as well. And the Castorama brand had stores in France and in other European cities. And then Kingfisher pretty much dominates the British home improvement market. So I haven't actually walked in here. I've literally just filmed everything in sequence. And I'm just up here now by the exit or entrance. And it'll just be interesting to have a walk around without knowing about the place and see what they have here. The very world famous plastic garden chairs. I think there's not a house anywhere in the world that doesn't own one of these. They've got quite an assortment of them as well. And lots of the outdoor summer furniture here by the entrance. Of course, now we're coming into the beautiful weather. Lots of checkouts. There is only one register open right now because it's Tuesday morning. I've got to remind myself and let everybody know that on the video so that it makes complete sense. So it's really interesting. I want to show you something on the exit as we leave, which I think isn't unique, but it might be something that's a little bit different. These eggshell chairs, my wife would love one of these on our balcony, and she's been asking me for years. We don't quite have the room to fit one. Just a little bit about myself. I'm an Australian who lives here in the Moscow region, not that far from here, about half an hour away, and I make videos about normal, typical things here in Russia. And if you have a look at the original videos going back 2 years ago, it was all about shops, supermarkets, shopping centers, and this is going back to my roots, and I want to keep making these videos and documenting normal, typical life here in Russia. So perhaps take a chair, grab a biscuit, cup of tea, and enjoy the video. I'm fairly sure that this is their 30th location. And generally, when you reach 20 or 30 or 50, it's a bit of an anniversary number. So I think the company, Maxidom, will be very proud of being able to open more locations or find locations to open, and to then come across entire warehouses ready for them just to move in is amazing. Now, the layout so far looks quite similar to Leroy Merlin. Now, I'm sure people who love this chain of stores, of course, would compare it to them. However, it's probably definitely different. But coming in the front, I know in the Leroy Merlin that I go to, or now it's called Limana Pro, they have all of the wallpaper as you first come in, and there is a lot of choices of it. And then over here on the right hand side is the lighting section, and you have a lot of choices. Now the idea with these sorts of shops, which I think most people go to them around the world, is you can get absolutely everything in this sort of shop, and probably even more selection here in Russia than what I can get at my local hardware store, which would be Bunnings, if you know the brand. It's very well known in Australia and very famous. We can get some clippers, cutters, and then I think they'll sprinkle in quite a few things that are definitely summer orientated. It's a very big store, I will say. We did some renovations on our apartment going back a few months ago now, and we had to make quite a few stops and find things. And I think every time you come to the shop, you have any idea what you want, you end up buying something totally different, and then you've got to come back again to get more items. I think this is the electrical section. So they've got a selection which is probably twice as much as what I can get in an Australian shop, and a lot more technical things as well. So I'm going to say that most hardware shops in Australia have a more standard range of things, and then when you come to shops in Russia, there is definitely a love of doing your own house remodeling or apartment remodeling, and they've got a lot more things for literally building your house or remodeling it. And there's not just one or two choices of things, there's 10 and 20 of everything. So even if you wanted, for instance, a doorbell, there is 45 doorbells to choose from. Now this is a very large store to cover in one video, so I'll do my best to walk around and show you it, and hopefully we get an idea of what a Russian typical hardware store is. Now the actual lady at the entrance was adamant that it's an hardware store, and of course a lot of people like to call these hypermarkets. Now for me, a hypermarket is more of a supermarket with the food element. There is all of the curtains here and window blinds and these rolling shades which you can put on your window or balcony. There is definitely an element of products in these shops that are orientated around apartment living versus just house living. Very big paint section here as well. So the video is going to look a little bit like the shop is empty, but it's definitely open. I intended to come here today, this morning, because I could take the train at the same time as my wife and just get off at a different stop to her. So it's a little bit different when the shop is empty. You know, I can't always come on a Saturday lunchtime when a majority of people would be here and shopping. And just to make it look full, just for the sake of the video, you can get pillows. There's all of the rails. Curtain rods, that's the word I need. Now, I want everybody, as you're watching this, to also let me know in the comments the comparison of this store to where you live. There's a German flag right there and the European Union flag as well. And how this compares with the selection of your local hardware store. Now, I definitely suggest to compare it to larger places. Have a look here. They've got Dulux. I wonder if it's a Russian or if it's imported. But definitely we all know the brand Dulux from around the world. There is the paint section, and they've got all of the mixing machines in the back here, and this wonderful gentleman that will make your paint for you. Actually, they've got the Dulux sticker right on the machine at the same time. So yeah, please definitely let me know how this compares assortment wise and choice. And is it this full with products? Now, I'm not talking about the fact that it's full and there's no one buying anything, but just the amount of items. So even here in this paint section, we can get a 20-cent or 50-cent paintbrush. A lot of that comes down to domestic manufacturing. Cheaper prices are because things are made here in Russia. There isn't a reliance on importing everything from China like other countries have. And you'll be very surprised when you pick up something and have a look on the side of it where it's made. And you know, when I'm in Australia, I would never think to do that, and I wouldn't really be too bothered even where something is from. And then with all the things that I'm documenting on the channel here, it's now just interesting to look a little bit closer at the side of the product and where it has come from, or where it was made and then subsequently imported from. All of the spirits. In Australia we call it terps. I think it's the same around the world, but white spirits, it's clearly in English on some of the products. The fact that this was, or is, or isn't a French store, there will be a lot of English influence on the products. There's the Italian flag right here. It's just interesting. Somebody did actually point out on a previous video, particularly when I did the Victory Day Parade video, that the shops across the road in the background had English signs on them. And that's very common here in Russia, that Western companies have stores here and they have their brand name in English as it would be written. So there's bed sheets, get some slippers. This is a hardware store plus one so far. Get some slippers, and then all of the blankets and the duvets. Is that the right word? Never think to come and buy a pillow in a hardware shop. If you are enjoying this video and you're interested in seeing other retail shops or shopping centers and things like that, let me know in the comments something specific. And if I can find somewhere to make a video or find a location, I'll certainly make one and put it on the channel. There is definitely a lot of interest around Russian typical retail shops. And I think places like this are just not documented on YouTube. And it definitely makes it interesting to come to these places and make this sort of video. As I'm walking around, everything is segmented off into different categories of items. We come over here to the rugs and mats. I keep telling my wife we need one of these for our apartment door, and she thinks it looks too much like a shop or a business mat, but they're just hard-wearing mats. And she wants something more like a rug, which I just don't think is as practical personally. Plenty of choices of rugs and mats. Now I'm fairly sure in here, which will be the same as in Leroy Merlin, you can buy the carpet by the roll or by the length. I think just how they've got them displayed here is a little bit differently. However, you can also get them edged. So you can create your own mats from carpet and have something cut specifically to size. They've got all of the artificial grass here as well. And I think, like in other shops, they've also got the cut-offs and remnants at the same time. I really should have walked through here earlier. I get into a habit of doing that and then end up having to walk everywhere twice. And by the end of the video, I'm just exhausted from walking around. This is the skirting boards here. I think that's the right word around the world. We actually bought these for our apartment. They're actually plastic. You can get wood ones, traditional wood ones, but in Russia, plastic ones are just cheaper. They're easier to install, and you can buy all of the corners and angles right here in these bottom shelves. And they're more cost effective, and they look just as nice. I don't think for the difference of doing real wood skirting boards, it's necessary. all the flooring here. So I think for me the difference in hardware shops in Russia or home improvement stores is the full selection of things and the fact that you can literally build a house or literally remodel an entire apartment from scratch. This is all of the underlay matting for the laminate flooring. I know all these things now because of the fact we did some things in our apartment. They have the boxes here for underfloor heating. So if you want to do that yourself as well, it's possible. So as I walk around here, you can see it's all the choices of the flooring, and then you quite literally just grab your own boxes and head to the register. It's as simple as that. And then being that it's a warehouse style shop, they've got all of the back stock on these upper levels as well. But you can choose anything you like and do your entire apartment or house. There is endless choices. Come to tiles. Bathroom tiles. So some of the things they've got on display, and you literally grab the boxes, like all of these fancy pieces, and then things like the tiles here, I think you must order them and then they bring them to you, or they've got them in another storage, because they would normally have boxes if it was another shop that I go to. And the thing is, you can spend hours in these places until you almost get a headache from choosing. And what a lot of people do, and this is what we did, the same thing, is you come and choose some different designs, take some photos of them, and then see if they're going to be suitable. Yeah, I think you come here and then order from this gentleman. So the ladies are probably doing their apartment, and what they'll do, they'll have somebody who will then install it for them. Maybe they're going to do it themselves. This is all the grout for tiles. I think maybe adhesives as well. And then these are the metal dividers between tiles and carpet or laminate flooring as well. So you can see from here just how big the shop is. It does feel bigger, I think, when there's less people in here. On the wall here, they've got the central heating systems and different styles that you can choose. And generally, or by default in every apartment in Russia and every house, they've got central heating built in. And then you can modify it and change it and get bigger or smaller heating bars and elements. These are actually wall-mounted ones right here. And then the traditional, I guess, lower wall mounting ones. So you've got all of the piping and then every fixture. One thing I will say is in hardware stores here, the way it's laid out and the way you come in and choose things is very nice. Everything is so organized, everything on the right shelf. So there is actually staff that are in charge of each little area as I walk through, and then they literally look after the aisle where they're working. These are the heat guns for the pipe attachments where you can crimp them together. And then you've got absolutely every fitting known to man if you want to do all of your own plumbing. So depending on if you're going to either do it yourself and know what you need. I know for our apartment we had somebody do things for us, and he either came with us to the shop and chose things, or he gave us a very specific list of things of what he wanted. Here's all of the pipes for the sink. And generally, when you've got a list, the master, as they're called here, they're definitely knowledge about what you need and want, and even the brand as well. They're very particular about buying something that's better quality than one thing or another. Here's the sewer pipes. And these are the vents that you can use. We've got one of these in our kitchen and bathroom. So the thing is, 1 or 2 choices would be enough, but you've got 50 choices of these vents. These are the covers for your bathroom pipes, where there's a technical space. These are the little doorways that you can put on so you can actually see the pipes and all the workings. And more vents, the internal fans. We want to put one in our bathroom, but we can't on the wall we've got, which is such a shame. It's not really a big problem. And then these are the towel warmers. They're actually generally connected into the mains water that runs into the apartment building, and they're permanently on. So right now in our apartment, our central heating's gone off because the weather's got warmer, but the towel warmer in the bathroom is still scalding hot. You've got quite a few choices. There is some plug-in electrical ones as well. Generally, most people make a plan to put it on the wall where the pipes run directly into it. All the choices of the pipes for your plumbing, for the hot and cold. And then the hot water heaters. More than enough choices, I think. There is a lot of choices. This is the one thing that I love and hate at the same time when I come into this sort of shop, because you're just wowed by the amount of products, but then you're overwhelmed when you go to choose something, because there is just so many options. These are the valve adjustments for the radiators that you put on the side to regulate how hot it is, because they can get very warm. These are all the different types. These are the more traditional ones. I'm not sure if the brand that we have is here. I think, oh, this is the one we've got, Refar. It looks something like all of these, and you can get them with the different amounts of bars, and then that really is based on the square meters of your space that you want to heat up. Water filters for the kitchen. A lot of people want to do filtered water, so you've got all the different choices. There's even the jugs as well. If you are curious, I do like to make longer videos and be more detailed in the videos that I make. And if you look back across the whole channel, something as simple as a shop tour can be 30 or 40 minutes or longer. And that's just something I've always ever done. Kitchen tables, seat covers. There's also towels over there as well. So there is probably even more in here, or more choices, if I compare it to Leroy Merlin store for store. I think it's a little bit more spacious too. Now, this shop's only been reopened about 2 weeks ago. Now, what I understand was they didn't close, if that makes sense. So they were always open, quite literally, and they just changed the main sign outside the store overnight and then continued trading. A wall of mirrors. So you just choose which number, and then you'll find what you need. My wife and I wanted to change our bathroom cabinet, and we couldn't decide which one to get in the end, and we didn't do it. And they have quite a few more choices here than the places we went to look at. We also found one we wanted, and they just couldn't get it in stock for us. So the main point is to come to these larger places that have more things, and you can find it, order it, and then quite literally take it home. And there's aisle after aisle of items. These are all the pipes for the ducting of the air vents. This one you can use in your kitchen from your extractor fan. I feel like I'm very knowledgeable now after doing some home repairs myself. However, I only have a basic toolkit, so I did get quite a lot of help at the same time. Now, the one thing also here in Russia is a lot of people like to shop online. And these shops are no different. You can shop online for products from this shop and either come in to collect it or have it delivered. I still think personally coming to this sort of shop in person is definitely better, because you can get a far better understanding of what you're looking at and what you want, or the color. Do they have a few baths? What do you think? They have about 100 choices of bath. I will say they don't have that many toilets though. But still, there is enough choices to make you more than happy. And you walk around. Now, am I mistaken with how many they've got? I think they've got about 40 different ones. Maybe 50. And then on a video that I made, there was a sink with the washing machine, like you see exactly here. They've got it for demonstration for you. And then people asked, how do you get the washing machine out to fix it or repair it? Now, the actual sink itself is on a bracket right there, and it's resting on a bracket. So you'd actually just lift the sink off, and then you've got access to the washing machine. So it's really quite a lot simpler. I think when everybody watched that video, there was a bit of confusion about how you get the washing machine out of the bathroom. They also have kitchens here as well, and I'm fairly sure that they've got the design station set up. So what they do, this is quite similar to Leroy Merlin, and I will mention their name a few times. So when you do your kitchen design, they've got all the things in this one central area for designing the kitchen. Also the tables as well. And when you go to pick out a sink, you just let them know which number you want, and they'll put that into your design for you. And depending on how you're buying it, they'll have all of the boxes of them below. It's all of the accessories where you can hang things off these stainless steel rods, cupboard inserts, chairs and stools. Now, I will say a lot of time with apartments, people get these modular flat pack kitchens because they're much better suited and easier for design and installation. And a lot of times where people have houses, they either do something like this, or they might get something custom made or something more bespoke. But the way they've got it set up here is really designed around apartment living, where they've got the standard kind of layout and size. You've still got a lot of choices. I must say, it's, for me, the way we chose ours, we came to walk around all the different layouts like this and settled on one that was already set up, and it worked very well. And then we had somebody come and install it. Actually, I helped as well. Maybe I hindered more than I helped. There's some mini bathroom set up here also. And then this is where the hardware store becomes more of a homeware store, because they've got sofas and chairs. I will repeat again, I've never been in this store. I've passed by it on the road many times, and I've always wanted to make the video in this store to compare it to other Russian typical hardware stores. And it's just interesting when you go to somewhere for the first time that you can definitely be wowed by the choices. Now, the fact there's only 30 of them in Russia might be difficult if you're in another city to go to one, so you don't want to get your expectations up and then not have one to go shopping at. This sort of place is not anywhere near any housing, so people would come here by car. This is the bathroom accessory area, and where you can choose endless amounts of showers. So quite simply, they've just got everything set up, and then you buy it by the number on the sign, quite literally. I think they've also got some last items here, like these baths. So you get a nice big discount on something because it's the last model, or the display model as well. Very recently, we also replaced our tap in our bathroom. We came to the shop. My wife and I were arguing about which one to buy because we just couldn't really end up deciding. Now, this is a combination of the kitchen taps and the bathroom ones at the same time. Also, all of these bath fillers. One thing you will see in Russia is the long necks on them. Now, you probably can't quite notice it. I guess if you look here, you might see there's about 30 centimeters overhang on them. And you've got all of the shower roses. Now, please correct me if I'm saying the wrong words. There is more than enough choices of them as well. It's just a matter of shopping by number to find which one you want. And all of the accessories that go with them, all of the nuts and bolts and screws. And then the other thing too, there's a lot of replacement items. So where it might be something that you just buy a whole new one, in Russia people fix things and repair things and replace things rather than just buying something new. Part of the kitchen section, they've got all of the appliances and dishwashers. I like these countertop ones, definitely for small apartments. These are perfect. All the integrated ones, you can see where they don't have the panels on the front. And then this is where it differs as well. They've got all of the small appliances. So all the kitchen fixtures. It's really quite mind-blowing when you see this sort of video, or if you walk in here, and when you think of the word sanctions and companies leaving Russia and things don't exist, and then you come to a shop like this, and the amount of choices of products, Now, I think it's just overwhelming. I know when I've taken friends to different shops and businesses that have come here for a holiday, they're just blown away, and especially where they might go to a similar shop where they live and see that there isn't really that many choices of things. Now, gas burners like this are only in older apartments. In any brand new apartments or modern apartments, they don't put gas in them. Or if you've got a house, of course, or a cottage or country house, they'd be gas. But the modern new apartments that I've shown a lot of videos on don't have gas installed whatsoever. Big comfy sofa here. And they've also got all the paintings and pictures and wall art. I think some of these scenes are of Italy and Europe. I'm fairly sure some of these places are not Russia for certain. These are the sofas that you put in kitchens, these smaller bench-like ones. And more accessories, mirrors. So it literally is a one-stop shop. Now, because I've not been here before, I didn't have any information about what was here, or I do kind of like coming to a shop like this and walking around blindly. DeLonghi. And then everything that you want electrical wise. So very typically in Russia, you perhaps want to check these videos out. I will put some in the playlist or in cards on the video. The electrical goods shops that I've been to. One would be M-Video. There's also one called DNS. And you would actually go to those sorts of shops to buy electrical goods, perhaps rather than come into a hardware style shop, mostly because of the customer service. Your hardware store have the knowledgeable people about hardware items, and not necessarily somebody that can tell you the difference between the types of fridges or vacuums. We've got irons here as well. So I think a lot of people, and myself included, have the habit of doing that, going to shops that have more specific knowledge about things. These artificial fireplaces. We've also got the plug-in heaters. Now, almost I think every house in Russia and apartment has central heating, so these aren't nearly as popular. However, some houses where they don't have the element bars in every room, you might buy one of these. I just think they're not necessary where you've got central heating. In our place, when we changed ours over, it works too well. And you've almost got to open windows. This has got the noise running of crackling fire. It's not doing the best job, but it's okay. Barbecues. I'll try and walk around in a bit of a roundabout way. We have here paneling, I think. Oh, this is countertops or kitchen tops. I think these are stone countertops or wood. Yeah, so these are the countertops and splashbacks for kitchens the whole way down here. So the thicker pieces for the kitchen counters, and then the thinner ones would be the splashbacks. There's also some sauna items or banya accessories, which a lot of people, particularly in this area where I am, they would have country houses and banyas or saunas. Now, if you've ever been to one before, this is quite interesting. So the idea is you go inside where it's extreme heat, and then you come out to the cold. Now what you can do is you can get these buckets and then they fill with water, and you pull the string and you get doused in very cold water, and then you go back in the banyo again, and it's meant to help heal and cleanse your body. I'm not a big fan of them, but some people love them, particularly Russians, of course. It's their normal everyday thing to do. Have a look at the blow-up beds. And you can get doors as well. I won't go down this aisle because this guy's coming towards me. So you can choose doors. So quite simply how they've got it set up, they've just got all the doors down this whole aisle here. These are all internal doors. And then you just grab what you want off the shelf. Then they also sell the surrounds and the trims as well. So these ones wrapped up are the framing for the door, for the internal doors, and then that's the trim pieces. And then for each one they'll sell all the trims and accessories that go with your door. It's really amazing, the shop just keeps going and going. Ladders, a lot of choices of them, and then just traditional wood. If you want to do some building or construction, well, they've got any size and any color and any style. So you could go to different places to buy things. You could go to a shop that would specialize in plumbing, electrical, you know, outdoor stuff, things for your kitchen. But in Russia, people want to come to this sort of shop and everything's under the one roof and you're done and dusted. This is all the wood, or more of it. It's a lot of stuff set up here. Fly screen windows. Now, quite a few people on the apartment tour videos pointed out there wasn't fly screen windows or these covers. So you can buy them for the standard windows, or you can get someone to come and actually custom install them. You can buy all of the windows as well here. So these are normal windows that you'd have in apartments or in houses. Also wood frame windows there as well. Check those out. And then flooring. Not too sure what you do with these rolls of plastic. Someone can tell me. Not too sure. I'm sorry, I don't know everything in the shop, what they do with it. We're really at the far corner here. Metal brackets and trim. And then all of this sheet wood. It's amazing. I mean, just the amount of things and the potential to build things as well. My wife doesn't like it when we go together to these sorts of shops because I wander around aimlessly and my wife wonders what the heck I'm going to do when I'm not going to do it. Where you build raised houses, these are the pile screws that you can buy to basically build things off the ground because of the frost and winter. So they get literally screwed into the ground and you put a capping on and you build on top of that. There's roofing and trim. And then insulation. I want to get back to the middle part, so we'll go down here. So all of the types of insulation. So would you buy this sort of item from this kind of shop? Or would you go to somewhere else where you live? Would they have everything in one store? I mean, there isn't anything here you can't buy, quite literally, as we're walking around. And you can buy it in large quantity so that you can set up or build an entire house. I wonder if this is their seasonal area here, where they do all the things because of summer coming up. All the stuff for barbecuing. Man, I want to have something to eat. Because it's early morning, I generally don't have breakfast. And I'm hungry now. Pear wood chips for smoking. I've got these little small smokers here. These are for fish. So it's just a single tin. Check that out. How cool is that? And it's only 160 rubles, so less than $2. You can get your own smoker. And these are disposable, of course. And these are the small barbecues. And they are only $2, $5, $6. And you can get a few good uses out of them. You can put the coals inside and then the meat on the skewer. Can you buy a barbecue anywhere in the world for $3? Please let me know if that's possible. These are made in Russia too. They're not Chinese imports. So these are the more traditional barbecues. It looks like they're just setting everything up. I think definitely seasonally they take things away and bring things back. Look at all the pool stuff. These temporary pools that you can put in. Even the very traditional fold-out chairs, tables. And they've even got all the blow-up rings up on the ceiling there as well. I continue to be amazed as I'm walking around. They even have portable toilets for sale. If you want one, about $350. Then we come to the gardening section, which is awfully large. Actually, there's more things here for country houses and cottages, as they point out. So these portable toilets, which people have in country houses. If you don't want to go and walk to the back garden and use the toilet, you use one of the portable ones. So it's just fascinating, the amount of choices and selection. I'm shaking my head. Again, I've never been to this store. I'm so used to going to Leroy Merlin, or what is now called Limana Pro. I know my local one very well from going there many times. And then when you find somewhere new, you're a little bit in shock by how many things they've got and the assortment. All the stuff for outdoors and the garden, pot plants and the pots and all of the potting mix as well. I think the staff here, because there isn't that many people in the shop, it looks a little bit strange that I'm walking around, of course. And the ladies are sort of looking over all of the stuff for gardening. Even they've got the gardening slippers as well. These plastic boots, umbrellas, raincoats. Now the reason I'm smiling is I know typically that I'd need to go to 3 or 4 different shops to find some of the things in this one shop. So it's quite overwhelming that you see everything in one place. There's an entire aisle here of fertilizer. Now, of course, in Russia, particularly where people do have country houses or dachas, people like to grow their own fruits and vegetables. And it's almost a tradition in Russia that you do that. So people want everything possible to be able to set up their garden for summertime. I've got all of the seeds and all of the bulbs for plants. You can get the seedling trays and just so many choices. Now, I might be walking too fast, so I'm sorry if I'm not able to show things in more detail. So again, if you do want to see something more specific about a topic or a type of shop, let me know, and I'll definitely come and do a video about it. That's the amount of stuff. I think from reading the website and the way they've got it worded about stuff for country houses and cottages, it makes a lot more sense now I see this part of the shop. Because where I think of a hardware store, it's more about home construction and renovation. And when you come to this corner of the whole shop, the amount of things they've got makes a lot more sense. The gardening area, so all the tools, even these rototillers for the garden, lawn mowers, and everything that you possibly need. I think everybody knows a Black & Decker. I think they do. Daewoo. And there's Works. I wonder if the Black & Decker brand is the influence from Castorama and from the British Kingfisher. It's a very well-known European brand. Lots of electric mowers here also. We should have probably had a bit of a competition at the start of the video about how long this video will end up being because I think it's going to be longer than what I realize, because I'm doing literally continuous filming. This is the aisle here with screws and all of the hardware things, and it's just so many choices and so many very specific things as well. So hopefully the video is not too long. I was wanting to make a second desk in our apartment or in the room where I've got my computer, and I struggled to find the right size legs to use. And then I come here and they've got far more choices than the store I went to. Just about everything. Now, if I definitely compare this with Bunnings in Australia, we also have a place called Mitre 10. I think Bunnings would be definitely the competitor. This is perhaps 3 or 4 times the choice. So if you get the drawer handles, just have a look. And then all the types are very neatly arranged. So the one thing I will say is the detail in storage and how you find what you want is second to none. Because when you walk in and you want number 23 door handle, you've then just got to come down here, find it over there, and you're good. Because you've only got a few hundred door handles to pick from. And then you've got 150 hinges. I'm smiling inside, and then somebody will comment that it doesn't come across as genuine, you know, because I'm being too positive about things. However, this is Russia, and I've got to keep reminding myself that I'm in a country with a very large population, far larger than Australia, and they've got selections of products far larger than Australia as well. Need some padlocks, some hinges for your gate, and then if we need some accessories for our door, even just the covers for the locks. Then we come around to the more traditional tool section. All of the things for polishing and grinding. Now, do we have anybody in the channel watching who is a person that does home repair and does fixing and remodeling? I'm very curious to hear from you about the choice and assortment that I'm showing, the amount of brands. Now, of course, there is a lot of Russian brands here as well as Western brands. But the thing is, you've got the choice of products. And of course, we don't recognize every brand because there is Russian manufacturing and Russian production of electrical items. Hans Kohner. I wonder if that's German in some way. And have a look. Of all the things in the store, this is the first area I've seen something locked. These are drills. But the entire store is open and not behind any kind of a case. Daewoo. So this corner here is all of the tools, accessories. And again, I'm going to keep saying this about the assortment. So where you're wanting a particular tool, there is a whole row of them. Here is something else locked up. So these are laser levels. It's an interesting choice of something that they'd lock in a cupboard versus the rest of the shop that's help yourself style. It's perhaps something that they've figured out to be higher value. Chainsaws. That's the wall sanders here. Circular saws. And I will say there is less Western brands than perhaps what there was 2 or 3 years ago. Now you can still buy all of the Western brands mostly through online shops, and some of the main Western brands are still available here in Russia, but just through intermediary websites. So you can still definitely get the brands that you want. Here is Kacha. It's well known, I think they're German. Air compressors. There's generators. And all of the traditional tools, hammers, screwdrivers. Let's have a look at the Russian post boxes. I think these are really neat. I almost want to take one of these back to Australia from my apartment and put it on the wall as a dummy. And just for the fact it's got the Russian post symbol right there. They're not expensive either. And this one is not even $10. Yeah, they're very cool. They even got safes, gun safes, and just general normal things. This is more the hardware shop feel as I walk through. I'm not sure if they've got all of their back stock everywhere. Everything is stored incredibly well and neatly and in the right place. When you want something, or when they're looking for more stock. Overhead winches. It's not something you'd find in an Australian hardware store. I think for garages in Russia, people install them. And then a little bit of stuff for cars here also. Basic things for repairing lights, windscreen wipers. You want to do some cleaning of your car or some oils. It's really next level, the amount of things as you walk around that are physically in one shop, because you just keep finding new things. And as I go down every aisle, this is pretty cool. These drills or Dremels, is that what they're called? I think these are called magic trees, and then here they're called little trees. However, they've also got some French ones. And then this is the Russia that we know, the matryoshka tree for your car. That's when you know you're in Russia, when you see the matryoshka version of it. They've even got some basic choices of engine oil. Mobil. It's a well-known Western brand. They've got Shell up there as well. And of course, a Russian brand, Luke Oil. And I think this is German, Rolf. So it's really far more product in here than what I thought. Even from the outside, it didn't look like they'd have this sort of things. And then coming in, just on another level. Have a look back here too. They've got the big inflatable, what's the one, unicorn over there. My wife keeps telling me that if we go to Bali again, she wants to get one of these. But they weigh about 3 or 4 kilos without opening them. And they're just too heavy to take in your luggage. So there is some plants here. not too many. So I think at some point they might have had an outdoor area where they would have had all of their seasonal plants. There's even pens and pencils, gift bags. I wonder if they just do this seasonally. These are all indoor plants here. These with the interesting root system. So perhaps they just have some plants and it's not the main focus of the store. I think from just looking at it, they've even got general merchandise here. So there's personal care items. We've even got all the stuff for the house. Not too sure people would shop here for this. I think if you're coming here, you'd sort of buy more things because you're coming by car. But to find personal care items and shampoo, bath salts, it's definitely a surprise for me. Even chapstick. Would you think to buy a chapstick when you've come to buy a sink or a hammer or a new floor for your house? This is becoming my new favorite store. Now the thing is, it's not close to my house. I don't have a car, so I don't have a way to drive here to come to this shop. This is what we need. We need these welcome mats. We need one of those. Yeah, there's all sorts of things for your kitchen, cleaning accessories, room spray. So it's really definitely a home store mixed with hardware store, mixed with home renovation. So I hope this is an interesting video and a bit of an insight into perhaps something that no one else has shown on YouTube and nobody has documented. I bought these as a gift to my wife because she has endless sachets and packets to put them all nice and neat and tidy. So there's just more things than what I thought there was in here. There's pans. So a little bit of this is focused around the cottage living or country house living, and that one-stop shop to buy things. I really love these pans, this more retro look. These are great. See, I would never have thought there was an entire kitchen section and everything possible. Now there is a store in Moscow or in Russia called Toy Dom or My Home, and it's a little bit more house orientated and probably less hardware store related. But it's kind of got that feeling when you walk through this section. Just notice the Italian flag on these little spice jars. It's interesting. A Maloney. Maybe I don't want to bring my wife here because once she sees this kitchen section, she's gonna empty the place. So I think there's no lady in the world, and especially ladies, if you're watching, you understand that you could not walk through this section and find something or want something based on the selection. Have a look at this. There's plates, whole cutlery sets. even by color as well. Look at that, there's something else locked up. What is it? It's knife and fork sets. These knife blocks. Really interesting again that there's just 2 or 3 locked cupboards in the entire place. Around the corner here there is 500 different knives not locked up. It's very, very specific things that they've put in show. Maybe it's because of the company brand that they want it to be in a showcase rather than just on the shelf with other things. Knives and forks. I think the best thing for this shop is the men can go off wandering in one direction and the ladies can go off in the other and find definitely something that they need. I do have a question about Kodak. Now, my first job when I was 15 years old was at a Kodak photo developing place, and I worked there for quite a few years. I wanted to be a photographer, and I ended up becoming a YouTuber in a roundabout way. And I thought Kodak had pretty much disappeared, and yet here in Russia they've got a battery section with Kodak branded products. So yeah, what do you think? Now we're just about back at the start as I pan around, and hopefully I can give you a feeling of how big this place is and the choices. Now I will say this again, and I repeated it from the very beginning, I'm here on a Tuesday morning. So perhaps the people we've passed by and seen shopping have a day off. And for sure, this place on weekends would be busy, almost rammed with people, particularly now coming to summertime as well. And on a Tuesday morning, there isn't people in the shop. If I go to any even supermarket, it would not be busy like this as well. And the fact that it's also open till 10 p.m. every night, so people can go to their normal daytime job and then come in the evening here 8 or 9 p.m. and do shopping. And there isn't really that traditional 9 to 5 shopping here in Russia, because people know things are open 7 days a week. And this one is from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. And even all of the food supermarkets where I live are open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So I've got a lot of time to come shopping rather than going in the traditional daytime hours. Pyrex, it's a well-known brand. So there we go. We've done the full walk around, and we've seen pretty much everything in the whole store. Is there something that you're jealous about? Is there something that you now want to fix in your house? Is there something that you've seen that isn't in your hardware store? Definitely let me know the name of the store brand, because I have been to Lowe's, Home Depot, B&Q, Bunnings. I've been to these stores before. I know them well. I worked in America for a lot of years. I've traveled to England quite a few times. So I definitely know about the stores to compare them. And this is even on another level to any of those stores. I want to point out something here at the exit as I'm slowly leaving. This testing station and then packing station. So on the right hand side there's some plug sockets, and there's also the different stations here to plug in different lights. So you can test light bulbs. Perhaps you're not sure if it works or not. Then over here they've got this packing station is what they're calling it. However, it's got some tools here, so there's some different types of saws, and there's different types of cutters and a tape measure. There is shrink wrap, so if you want to wrap something up to carry home easily, you can. And there's also a vise and then a cutting block right here. So if you want to buy something and cut it yourself, you can. There's actually even some metal shavings right here. And there's even a ruler attached to the side, so you can measure something off and cut it here rather than actually buying a saw and doing it yourself. So is this only in Russia, or do they have these in other hardware stores around the world? Please let me know, because I'm very curious. As I head on out of Maxidom, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. And I really actually want to thank one of the ladies here who actually recognized me from the channel and knew of my YouTube channel. And it's so nice to come to such a random place and somebody recognizes me from making videos. Most people who recognize me know me from a lot of the supermarket videos that I make, and they've watched it at some point, maybe in the last year or so. And I just smile so much when I meet subscribers in very obscure places rather than somewhere maybe where there's a lot more people and it might be more obvious that I'm filming and making a video. So if you do see me in public, please say hello and stop for a chat. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This really was a surprise to me to enjoy walking around this store. I'm trying to think of the right words to say. And the assortment of things as well. There was far more things than just a traditional hardware store. And they do call it a hypermarket. And on their website, they say it's the first hypermarket home store in Russia for all things for your house and cottage. And it does make sense now, and I couldn't understand it before coming here because I thought it was more along the lines of Limana Pro, which we have here in Russia, the very well-known French, Russian hardware store. And the fact they've got all of this stuff for your house, personal care items, cleaning supplies, even things for your car, and all of the things for summer, like the blow-up inflatable rings. It's just interesting to see it all in one place, because you would not have thought, even from the road, that they'd have this sort of assortment here. So if you are in Russia and you haven't been to one of these places, come and check it out, because you might be surprised what you can buy in the one building. So yeah, thanks everybody. I will put some cards to some of the things I talked about, some other shops that might be worth watching as a video after this one. And if you want to join me on Telegram, that's my social media application that I use for posting things daily. It's very similar to WhatsApp or Facebook, but it's more of a messaging program. And if you haven't got it downloaded, it's very simple. And then join me on there. I post a lot of things daily. I'm very active in the chat as well. So that should pop up about now. I think I've passed my time limit for letting it pop up. No problems though. And then if you want to watch another video on the channel, one will be right here. You can see something different and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.